So without further ado, let me introduce Raj. So Raj and I worked in the past for almost 4 or 5 years, and then we've been in touch with each other after that as well. Raj has been both executive, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and a good friend of all. So Raj has been, he's been in Dallas for almost 20-25 years now. He worked with many companies, and I think his last stint was at Dell as a senior VP, executive VP. He was instrumental as part of their merger from Rossperot to Dell Services. So as part of that, he was instrumental in merging the services and implementing their strategy around the acquisition. Before that, Raj and I worked in actually ADIA Solutions. Now ADIA is merged with Valtech. Raj was senior VP there as well. He was strategist for many services. So look forward to hearing from you on different strategies and growth patterns and all that. And then Kumar, Tech Pros, you're starting the hosting services business. Basically, it's hosting and services, I assume. Yeah.
Services and solutions.
Services and solutions, so that's good. So it's all internet-based services, I assume.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I'll let you speak on that. The project's all yours. Okay.
Compliments to your organization. 2010 is when I believe you were formed, and you already are up to 70 companies coming together. I think this is a great forum, great consortium, and I do believe success in the future will come through like-minded people coming together like this, and sharing ideas, and openly sharing ideas, which I think culturally we all are not programmed that way. We were, in fact, raised to succeed by holding information back. Information at one point was key to success. But today, frankly speaking, and Ashok knows that having worked in the corporate world, I realized that knowledge sharing is really the key to career success, as well as the network that you expand. Because like karma, if you do something good for someone, it will actually come back. You will benefit down the road. Because you may not get immediate rewards, but you are getting, a network, and you are, in our business world, what we call collecting IOUs that will benefit you down the road. You don't know when. But nevertheless, here are 3 topics that I wanted to cover with you. Looks like the slide's a little bit going overboard. The title is Topic Areas. 3 things I wanted to cover was a little bit about business. All of you are business owners. Secondly, all of you are IT business owners. So I wanted to cover a little bit on the strategy side, because my background is IT. I came to US in '74. And I worked my way from the mainframe days, from Fortran, COBOL, card punch days, etc., all the way to the internet days. And then I hopped over to the strategy side of the shop. And then my last job, as Ashok mentioned, I was the Chief Strategy Officer for Photo Systems before Michael Dell bought us. So I toggle between IT and strategy. I do believe for an organization to be successful, strategy is critical. I have a few slides that I want to share with you. Many organizations start out, just on the adrenaline of the founder, because the strategy is not there, right? A lot of people say, well, you don't have a document strategy. Well, in a way, strategy is there because it is in the head of the founder. The founder knows at least to the next few days, or next few months, or the next couple of years, where he wants to take his company. And because the early part of the organization is small, they actually can pull it off, where they can actually have it in their head and still be successful. But it is at a certain point where you start to have suppliers, providers, employees, what we call stakeholders, that strategy has to be somehow shared with them. They need to also believe in your strategy the way you as a founder believe. And for that purpose, a strategic planning exercise for a company any size at any given point is critical. And one of the things that I like to do in my session is to share with you strategy by itself, since you don't see direct results in revenue from strategy, we don't want to work on that. Secondly, strategy has gotten a bad name because it takes a long time to do strategy. Thirdly, there are big consulting companies from McKinsey to Bain, etc., that charge a lot of money. So as a small guy, I can't afford it. I want to say to you that all three are wrong. You got to at least have a bare bones strategy, folks.
We have a minority.
At least a bare bones strategy. So I have a few slides that will walk you through that. Secondly, you all are in IT business, right? And I'm sure all of you have been told you got to think big, etc., etc. I have a few slides that I have used in the company that I work for to motivate my guys, to have them start thinking that the opportunity is much bigger than the economic condition that I live in. It's so easy to get sucked into the bad crisis situation that we live in and say, nothing is moving, right? Nothing is growing, organization is shrinking, people are laying off. But guess what? While that's happening, people are still spending $1 trillion+ in IT. I just refuse to accept that from my team or from anybody in the organization when they say market is shrinking. I say, yeah, but people are still buying hardware, people are still buying software, people are still keeping the lights on in their business, right? If we are competitive, if we have good products, if we have good services, if we have good offerings, we should be able to, win. Because when the day when IT spend stops, then come and tell me I can't grow, Raj. And I said, okay, I can accept that. But when $1 trillion is being spent even in a bad economy, I say, guys, we are in the right business. Because IT has become like food, like air. The business cannot survive without that. Is that important? So strategy is critical. And I have a slide that I want to share with you to hopefully energize you, motivate you. And my personal goal is that as itserve has been found to provide a forum for you to exchange ideas, meet, break bread together, have a glass of wine, etc. Hopefully, in a year or so when I come back, if you still invite me back, I would hear success stories that few of you actually collaborated around $1 billion, 7-year contract, and you won that. I think that is really where we need to get to. So I have a few slides that talks about the real opportunities that we are not looking at. Yeah, my old boss at A.T. Kearney used to say, whenever I was losing sleep over a small initiative, says you are looking for pennies in a gold mine. You are looking for pennies in a gold mine. Let go. Don't worry about that. You only have so much energy. Where do you want to channel it? Where do you want to focus it? That's the critical part. So the third thing I want to talk about is that, as I mentioned, I no longer work in the corporate world, and Ashok mentioned on the philanthropy side. I want to invite you to join me in making a difference. So there is not a more challenging time than today to be a business owner. I think everybody agree. But I like to also say there is no better time to be a business owner, especially in IT business. Now when you look back, right, 2010, tough year, right? Global recession, subprime. I mean, the sky was falling. Things that were secure became insecure. I mean, we couldn't even put money in the bank, right? $100,000. If we had $120,000, that $20,000 was at risk because the bank was going under, and FDIC insurance only insured $100,000. I mean, so things that were secure became insecure. I mean, it's an unprecedented time that we saw, right? Consumer confidence was shaken, unemployment was high. Just nobody knew what to do. In fact, to be honest with you, we didn't know whether we'll come out of it. It is amazing what I see around us today. Stock market is back to where it was, and we are higher, right? The sentiment is very, very positive. Unemployment has begun to go down. So it's kind of an interesting thing. But back then, 2010, everybody was ready to just shut down the shop. The interesting thing is I found as a strategist at Growth Systems that not only did we need to worry about selling, delivering, but we also have to worry about, will our customer be in business to pay our bills? We have to worry about that too. Sometimes we have to walk away from a business, which we won hard. We fought hard on that RFP to win that business. but you walk away knowing that, you know what, that customer may not be around. So I may actually lose all that. It was a very, very unique situation. Well, 2010, the book Good to Great, well, it went from bad to ugly. Last year was not a pretty year either. I mean, clients' demand kept shrinking, industries were contracting. While the bailout really helped the banking financial companies to, get funding from the government, they got back on their feet, but the credit became tight. Associates, employees, tight job market, high unemployment, no morale. Tight job market in the sense that there are not too many people hiring, that's what I meant. Shareholders, mounting losses, losing trust, right? So that's the kind of backdrop. 2012 is still young, okay? Jury is out as far as I'm concerned. It feels good, I'll be honest with you. Sentiment is great. Looks like there's more hiring taking place now. I heard a very interesting story the other day. One of the reasons why the economic pickup has happened so early in the year, have you guys heard this one? They actually attribute it to the weather. Exactly. Interestingly enough, nice weather has caused people to not spend as much money on heating bills. An average household in America spent like $950 on heating bill per year. And because of this weather, which by the way is scary, because of having no winter at all and things like that, they were able to save $250. Right? Home Depot revenue and profit went up 35% year over year for the same period. They didn't do anything different. Well, because of the weather, more people got out, more people are fixing things around the house, more people are starting landscaping early, right? Which has turned around into more employment. Right? In fact, Home Depot and Lowe's collectively are going to hire 110,000 people, seasonal people this year. That's many openings are there right now. So part of it has to be weather, they say. Whatever it is, we'll take it, right? Yeah. Whatever it is, we'll take it. But 2012, the jury is out. Now, having said that, with that kind of a backdrop, what an environment that we have come in from, right? The subprime mortgage, etc., etc. So you have to worry about the external challenges in the marketplace, and this is inside the head of a business owner. Each one of you. Running a business is not that, it is sexy, it is exciting, but you have to worry about all of this, right? Your own business requires technology. Your own business requires some kind of functions, processes, disciplines, systems, right? Workflow, org structure, projects, cost, time, budget. You got to have your strategy, location, keep an eye out for competition. What business model are you going to deliver through? What are some of the constraints? Where is your workforce going to come from? What's the next legislation regarding visa, right? What happens if an employee just leaves in the middle of the project? I mean, all of these things you have to worry. This is what's going inside the head of an entrepreneur, right? You've got to have a strategy, folks. Because if you just simply react to each of these as a transaction, it will not work. To do all this well, a strategy is essential. And what strategy provides is a focus. Because many times what happens at many of these transactions, it may come across as an immediate, urgent thing, but you have to use the strategy as a beacon to say, well, is it in line with my strategy? Or I will live with this hiccup. I will live with this issue. Or I will deal with this later. I won't react to it because this is not in line towards my strategy. Strategy is so critical. So what is strategy? Purpose and importance of strategy. These are a few of the quotes that I personally enjoy. If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there, right? The famous saying. And Albert Einstein is credited for this one, insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. When you don't have a strategy, you keep falling the same trap. Then you wonder, why am I not growing? Why am I not successful? Right? The strategy will help you make sure that you're doing things differently. So that is my definition of strategy. And I have read lots of strategy books. I'm the biggest fan of C.K. Prelad. In fact, I learned a lot reading of him. I met him when he was in Dallas a few times. I met him at a couple of conferences. Very sad that he no longer is with us. But his work has been phenomenal in the whole strategy space. Because he taught us about strategic intent. He taught us about core competency. Those two things are basically saying know where you're going and know what you're good at. And then don't let everything else bug you or eat away at your time and your resources. So my simple definition of strategy is it's all about making choices. Why do you need strategy? Very, very simple. Why do you need it? If an organization or if an individual had unlimited resources, they don't need strategy. Because they can throw money at everything. The only reason you need strategy in a way, to put it very simply, you have limited funding, limited resources, limited people power. Right? You need to now make choices towards where will you apply that. So strategy allows you to make those informed decisions, informed choices. And I break those choices into two categories. Now, one that makes you efficient and effective. You do things that you typically do better, more effectively, right? You take unnecessary steps out of the way. You know, back in the GM, I used to live in Michigan, and back in the mass manufacturing that was invented in this country, and then the lean manufacturing that the Japanese, invented. The difference is what? They copied what we do. They just made sure that they don't do the unnecessary steps. They took the fat out. That's why it's called lean manufacturing. I'll give you a simple example. When steel used to come to the plant, right, and it used to be stored in the bin, before it moved to the production line, it got moved almost 70, 80 times to make room for other inventory. Is that value add? Moving the inventory around? Is that adding to the value of the product? Is that making your product quality any better? Is it getting it out cheaper or faster to your customer? These are non-value added stuff. That's why they came with the just-in-time model, right? They basically told the vendor, you want to supply steel to me? I'll give a little bit more. But you supply it to me 24 hours before I need it. And right at the dock, and it goes right to the production line. So I don't even need the storage space. Right? So they took all those unnecessary steps out. I bet you look at your organization today. Look at what is eating away your time. Your time is your most important thing right now. Second is money. First is your time as an entrepreneur. Look at what's wasting your time. How can you make it efficient? No. Take those unnecessary steps out. So make choices to do existing things differently, to be more effective, more efficient, and then do different things to accelerate, to grow. So this is making yourself efficient. This is actually escalating it, scaling up, and growing the organization. I have this thing called strategy light. I mentioned to you earlier, strategy-wise, everybody's scared because it's too expensive. I can't afford a consultant. I can't take that much time. I have a basic thing to small to medium-sized businesses. I speak at Irving Chamber of Commerce. In fact, I gave this presentation a couple of times at the chamber in their business meets that they have. They now want me to run a workshop for them. Because my point is this, that don't fall in the trap of having that full-blown strategy ready. At least have some strategy. I mean, even compact computer, even that was made up in the back of a bar napkin. Somebody decided to actually visualize and put down on the back of the bar napkin what it wants to look like, what company they want to build. Right? You need to at least have a basic, what I call like Bud Light, right? A strategy light. The light version of the strategy, right? Which should have at least these components in it. Well, I think wine will do right now. So, you all heard about Bhag, and Bhag, especially as Indians, has a special meaning, right? Bhag is like destiny, it's like Kismat in Hindi, right? So Bhag is that big, hairy, audacious goal. You got to know, are you in the business business for the sake of business? Are you in a business for IT so you can be a member of IT Strategic Alliance? Is that your goal? Which is, by the way, ambitious idea. But nevertheless, is this really where you want to, stop at? Right? You got to figure out what exactly you want to achieve. Like Steve Jobs would say, you got to be insane. Clearly, you won't get a second chance in this life. So what exactly do you want to do? Why are you spending your energy into this business? Figure that out. Challenge yourself, right? And be able to have the guts to then, as you build a team around it, that they also sign up to that. If they don't, they're not part of your team. Because you're pulling one way, they are holding you back, right? Have a big area you go. Second, and part of that is boundaries. Very, very important here. You cannot be everything to everybody. You got to figure out, are you a product company? I'll use the IT word. Are you a product company? Are you a services company? Are you a hosting company? Of course, nowadays everything is overlapping. But you got to be at least clear what are the boundaries, the geography boundary within which you will operate, the industry boundary within which you will operate. You got to put those boundaries around it, because if you don't, you're trying to be everything to everybody. The mission and values, once you know what is your ambition, what are the boundaries within which you're operating, why do you exist as a company? Why do you exist? What is your core business?